So, let's talk some John Wick Chapter 4. TJ, what's going on in this movie? How do we feel? And we're gonna start off a little spoiler free, but it's not gonna be much. Honestly, actually, I was just gonna say there's not gonna be much spoiler free talk. I actually think you could talk about almost the entire movie
Oh, I'd
and
agree.
keep it
Yeah.
pretty spoiler free, except for let's probably avoid deaths. But I feel like we
Mhm.
could talk about a lot of this stuff. So what's going on? What do you think?
What a film. What a movie. This movie is just I don't know how they do it. Every John Wick movie, they just get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, and no signs of slowing down. Obviously, we've got the Continental coming, the series, we've got Ballerina the movie, we got a bunch of other things in the works. This was just I was blown away. You see the 2 hour 45-minute runtime, you think that's a tad daunting. Chad Helsey's gotcha. He makes it feel like 2 hours max, maybe less
Mm-hmm.
than that. Flies by. The action, can't say enough. The choreography, the cinematography. Oh my god! Like the shot of the when they go overhead, and
Or the
Keanu
top
Reeves
down
is
shot.
running around with the shotgun with the fire bullets, like just fantastic to look at. The backdrops, when we're in the Japan Continental, and I think one of my favorite shots, one I think back to is when John Wick's standing there underneath the tree, I think, and we have this building kind of, and it's got like the pink kind of beams around it.
Oh yeah.
You know exactly what I mean. That was
Mm-hmm.
what a shot that was.
That's that classic trailer shot.
Yeah, some great characters introduced. We got Mr. Nobody. I really liked him. Liked what he
Yeah.
brought to the table. Donnie Yen,
Agreed.
he just stole it. He might have stole the movie. He's fantastic as Kane. Um, I I can't say enough about this movie. Definitely, probably my favorite movie of the year so far. I'd have to say. I need to see it again very badly.
Not Cocaine Bear.
Not Cocaine Bear. Haven't seen that.
Hmm.
And I'll just say right now, my favorite fight is hands down the nightclub fight.
In
There's a lot
Germany.
of good. Yeah, is it Yeah, Germany. Yep.
Yeah.
With the big guy.
Yeah. Scott Atkins.
Yeah, just absolutely fantastic. Bill Skarsgård. My only gripe, maybe, is Bill Skarsgård's accent. Threw me
Oh,
off
I
a little
loved
bit.
it.
Threw me
It
off.
definitely threw me off, but I thought it was
Uh,
perfect for this world.
but the ending, great. I just it's I'm speechless.
And
This
the big
movie
man
is just so
himself.
good.
We haven't even talked about Winston.
Winston,
Absolutely
yep,
bringing it down with this movie, and the Bowery King,
yep,
Lawrence Fishburne,
and
fantastic.
Chad Stahelski. I don't know what he's
The
gonna
true
do.
MVP of this
Well, I don't know
movie.
what he's gonna do with Ghost of Tsushima, but he's proven that he's got it. I would be shocked if it is not a fantastic movie. It,
Yeah.
it's just this movie's amazing. That's all I can say.
Do we know, like, just to go off what you just said about Ghost of Tsushima for a second, do we know if a studio has the rights to that?
I have no idea.
Because I just worry, like, if it's not, the only thing that could mess it up is, like, if it's not Lionsgate. Like, if it's a studio that maybe doesn't trust him completely the
Yeah,
way that
yeah.
Lionsgate does, that's the only worry that
I'll
I
look
have.
it up
Because,
to see.
how do you, all right, I'll take over here, because how you look at this movie, and shout out to, this was like 3 weeks ago after a press screening that she described it like this, but shout out to Roxy Stryer on the Big Thing podcast, but also she has her own channel. She said every shot in this movie looks like a $5 billion movie, and that is what it looks like. Like it looks. And then I saw somebody else described it as this movie is sumptuous. Every shot looks like an oil painting. It's the colors and even stuff down to the smallest scenes. Like there's just one scene after an action sequence that Donnie Yen is just chilling on some steps in Osaka, Japan, and he's just chilling back on the steps, and it's this big wide shot, and the plants around him are this lush, like deep green, and then there's these red lanterns, and then he's in this black suit in the foreground. and it just everything about the movie, like every shot could be its own, painting. Like it just is one of those movies that really just looks that way. That there's not a color on the entire color spectrum that's not utilized to its fullest in this
Yeah.
movie.
If I could just jump in real quick
Yeah.
with Ghost of Tsushima, I'm gonna guess it's just gonna be Sony. Because obviously I'm assuming Last of Us
Oh.
they didn't do because they don't really have that sort of, they don't have a streaming service, you know what I mean? They don't have a division to put it on. They don't have a service to put it on. I'm assuming they're gonna do this like I believe they did Uncharted as well. Just put that out there.
So is Naughty Dog like owned by Sony
Yes.
or just exclusive?
They are I believe they are a first party studio of Sony. I could be
Okay.
wrong.
So then, yeah, probably Sony. But yeah, like you said, so that would be Sony making it, but then I don't know, maybe Lionsgate
Right.
could.
But
distribute
Naughty
it.
Dog didn't do Ghost of Tsushima. Just
No,
for the
yeah,
record.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So Ghost of Tsushima, that's just a straight up
That is
Sony exclusive.
Yes, that is from Sucker Punch that did that.
Okay. Oh, the great Zack Snyder film. Very interesting. I didn't know that movies could make games. But
Right.
That's very good.
Back to your thoughts. What'd you think?
Back to my thoughts, man. Like I said, I mean, I'm like a minute in. I'm just talking about the visuals still. I mean, let's talk about him. I mean, Keanu Reeves is a fucking animal in this movie that is just like unleashed onto the, before he was unleashed onto Italy and, London. And actually, wait, has he ever been in London? No, he's never been in London. Oh, they gotta go to, come on. That's, although this movie does a great job of leaving locations that you'd expect them to go on the table by going to things like this movie, Paris, obviously, that's huge. But then the other two is Osaka and Berlin. And it's like, those aren't the first cities
Berlin,
that
I would not
immediately.
have.
Yeah, but like, it was awesome to see all this action and the architecture of Berlin and all the, the nightclub and everything. But then you realize, I'm like, he's never been to London. He's never been to South America.
Yeah.
But another great thing in this, he has been to the desert. Like the one sequence that they went to Africa to film for about 3 minutes of the movie, which is basically the first 3 minutes of the movie. It's just great, and it's mostly all on location stuff. There's some things that obviously just logistically you can't shut down. The Ark in Paris to murder 2,500 goons in a traffic circle. That has to be done, in the privacy and safety of a studio. But the fact that where there is CGI in this movie is so unnoticeable, you really don't know where it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you didn't know that practically, no, you can't film that actually on the streets of Paris, it just looks like they filmed it on the streets of Paris. Like, there'd be no way to know. Like, it's just so great. It's just the highest of God, I gotta it's so hard to articulate because it's just so good. It's just every single person in every department is just working at the highest skill level possible in their field. Like, for this movie. And like you said, I think this is easily the best movie of the year. I think it's just a little bit better than Ant-Man for me to make, to take that spot. But no.
I was gonna say this blows Ant-Man out of the water for me.
No. Yeah. No, but you know what's crazy? What did you just say? This blows Ant-Man out of the water for me. This movie had 3 trailers, couple of TV spots, and $100 million budget. It's already made its money back. Like, we didn't talk box office this week. Maybe we might touch back into box office next week when we see how Dungeons and Dragons did. But franchise best opening. Obviously, it has just been, movie after movie after movie going up, up, up with the box office. Most likely, when it's done with the box office run, it'll be the most successful of the franchise. And the fact that this movie looks like that on $100 million budget is just baffling. The fact that then you look at something like Ant-Man, which had double the budget, not a little bit more, double the budget. And then you look at something like Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods, which, didn't have double the budget, and a little bit more budget, and it
Mhm.
looks infinitely worse. They've shot Shazam 2 in Philadelphia, and there's not a single scene in that movie that looks like they're actually in Philadelphia. Like, all, you know what I mean? All of it could just, it just looks so uh inauthentic. In this movie, every single shot is like you are really there, save for maybe the sunrise at the end of the movie. But I had this argument with my friend at work today. He's like, "Why did they went the whole movie with all these beautiful shots and everything, and then right at the last scene, they had to do this big green screen like background." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, but you have to figure too, it's because the exact timing and the exact way that the sunrise happens is a narrative part of this movie. It was always going to have to be an artificial sunrise, like, because you can't just bank on the movie on
Mhm.
it being like that. You know what I mean? And it would be so hard to do otherwise. So I can kind of give them the excuse for that, the pass for that, because the rest of the movie does look so good. Um, Donnie Yen is fantastic. Um, Hiroyuki Sanada, like you said, just incredible. If he's not the lead in Ghost of Tsushima with Chad Stahelski directing it, I don't know what Hollywood is doing, because I feel like those two are already making the movie and just not telling anybody.
Yeah.
I feel like, the way that they talk about each other on like some of the red carpets and stuff, they clearly love each other. They worked together before in the past as well. Um, and that was another thing too. It was nice knowing that he had Sonata had worked with Keanu Reeves before. I think Donnie Yen had worked with him before on some of these other movies that American audiences just didn't gravitate to in the mid 2000s. Like they were, Keanu was making these movies like 47 Ronin.
Oh
Which
yeah.
partially was partially filmed in Buffalo. It was one of those
Oh, I didn't
first
know that.
big movies, that kind of wave we're in now of a lot of things filming in Buffalo, like Nightmare Alley and everything. It was one of those first ones. Um, but the chemistry, you just felt it with everybody. And Lance Reddick as Sharon is fantastic in this. Somebody who I don't know if we've talked about yet is Clancy Brown,
Clancy Brown. Yep.
who is playing not an adjudicator but a harbinger,
Mhm.
which is
What are these
another nice
names, man? Where do you
added
come up with
wrinkle.
that?
I know, like it's just so good. Like, and the way that the only way that Lance Reddick can deliver those names, sir, there is a harbinger here to see you. Like, an adjudicator. Like, I just he's so good in these movies. Um, Rest in peace, man. Jesus,
Yeah.
that is like so crazy. It's like I've seen this movie 3 times. I've seen this movie 3 times, and I've watched all of them yesterday. It's just crazy to me that he's passed away in real life. Like, it's just insane. But he's so good in this. But all right, I guess let us transfer over to spoilers just so that we can talk a little bit more about what happens in the movie and the movie
Mhm.
itself. So jump out if you don't want to be spoiled for John Wick 4. But honestly, I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, probably I don't know what you're doing. But so full spoilers ahead for John Wick Chapter 4. So you have been warned. Um, John Wick dies at the end of this movie. What the hell? What do you think? I mean,
I,
that was. I mean, I looked over. I saw you were crying your eyes out. No, but you were. I mean, I think that everybody in our theater was getting emotional. All 3 times that I've seen this weekend, everyone has had the same reactions of like when so at the very end when he's on those steps and he's bleeding out and everything, and it cuts. It has the Star Is Born cut to him and Helen, where the
Mhm.
music cuts out, and it's just like, oh, like it cut to him and Helen. This is the one I saw yesterday, and the guy behind us just went, oh damn, like super loud. And I was just like, yes, it is resonating with so many people. Um, but yeah, I mean, granted, also you got to keep in mind we didn't see a body. A lot of it's a very action movie, death that I feel like he could have just at any point in the post credits or something just popped out from behind a tree.
Right.
So take that for what you will. I'm not over here saying like, man, it's crazy that we saw him die, because we didn't really see him die. It was just we saw him slump over and then a lot of time passed um but what do you think? Do you think he is actually dead? Did you like that part of the movie? Do you feel like they should just leave it?
Yeah, I was shocked because I was always under the impression they were doing a fifth one. And I told you I thought maybe it was gonna be like because he says when he gets out of the boat, he's like, oh, I want my tombstone to say loving husband. So I thought maybe they were just gonna have it as a placeholder or something there. And then when he wasn't there with the two of them, I was like, oh shit, maybe he's like really dead. It kind of, from what I can gather, it seems like maybe Keanu Reeves and Chad Stahelski want to kind of end it there, and then maybe the studio is kind of like, no, but a fifth one. Like, look how much money this made. So I'll be interested to see what happens. But I liked it either way. We're gonna get Keanu a little bit in Ballerina as John Wick, and then who knows after that? Maybe he's done after the fourth one. He's getting, as you said, he's getting up there in age, and I can't imagine it's the easiest
60.
thing. Yeah.
Him and Donnie Yen are 60.
Is he really 60?
And they
look
look like that in this movie.
Wow, that's crazy.
I couldn't even believe it.
But I hope they do another one. I hope they do another one.
See, this
imagine what the fifth one will be. This is the fourth one.
I know. Let's see here. Oh, are they? I think they are the exact same age. They're both. I almost said John Wick. Keanu Reeves is 58, about to be 59, and Donnie Yen just turned 59.
Wow.
So yeah, they're both pretty much the exact same age. Oh, you know what? How old's Hiroyuki Sanada? He's also 60. He's 62.
Yeah, I think Sanada's a tad old to play the lead in Ghost of Tsushima.
The lead?
But yes.
How old is the lead supposed to be?
He's probably around, I'd have to say, like late 20s, early 30s, maybe, off the top of my head.
Do you think that you could push it a little? Like, do you think that you could just
you
for that? Or
mean, no, it's because it's very much like the beginning, his dad dies, and that kind of extends through, so it's kind of, it's not like it's kind of sort of an avenge type thing, but
you asked it right there. He's going to play the dad.
Oh, yeah, that could be it. Yep.
You just did it right there. There you go. Well, hell, whoever they get to play him, I think it's going to be fantastic. And also, I just remembered too, I just clicked on that. He's got his own franchise. They're still apparently doing a Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah,
so he, and I think the last time, or maybe the only time they reported on that, it was that they were going to get rid of that main guy, the guy with like the armadillo powers or whatever, like the main character from that 2019 one or 2021 one, and then they were just going to focus on Sub-Zero and Scorpion, which they the whole time. But so maybe he's all good. But that being said, if they want to do a Mortal Kombat 2, see if Chad's available between projects, get him in there.
Great. Totally agree.
He would be a fantastic choice for a Mortal Kombat.
I'd say this. I've seen this a lot, and I do agree. I'd say this felt very video game-esque. This movie.
Yeah, in the most complimentary way possible.
Yes, exactly.
I've seen that too.
What did you think about the end? Did you think he was dead, or what's the deal?
So, geez, going off of what you said, about kind of real quick, what I want it to mean is, I think I do want it to just end there, for John. But of course, there's the fan in me that enjoys these movies just like everyone else is. I mean, if you're gonna do a fifth one, I'm not gonna not watch it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna not go see John Wick 5. But I do think that you can keep the character alive in other ways of, with Ballerina being a prequel, with, you can do other stories set between. We now have some baked in time, I would say probably like 6-8 months, something like that, between 3 and 4. So you have some time in there that you could also go prior to that. I mean, Keanu still looks, you could just say that it's 10 years ago. It wouldn't really make much of a difference because the guy does not look 60. But in terms of actually watching it in the movie, I was upset. I was like upset, like in a good way. I was super emotional. I was very like, I couldn't believe that they were really going for it. and it's almost one of those things that you just don't really believe it until the credits roll and nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's one of those things that you're just like, oh, okay, well he's gonna, the camera faded out, but he's gonna wake back up, or he's gonna walk out from behind the tree and be like, well, the headstone looks great, boys. Thanks for the help. Something like that. Um, but you don't get any of
Mhm.
that. I know we're kind of going around this movie in a very backwards way, but talking about the very, very end here, we obviously get King, the Bowery King, and Winston both, and his John's new dog, both at his grave as the final scene. Um, do you think if he? Well, first of all, let me just ask you this straight up: do you think he actually is dead? Do you think he actually is lifeless in that grave?
Yes.
I actually, and I'm saying, I'm asking you in terms of like knowing that there might be a fifth movie.
I think so. I think he's dead.
Do you think if there is a fifth movie, it'd be some sort of
Yeah, some
other
sort of yeah.
thing
Yeah.
happening?
Mhm.
Um, I think as much as I would be happy and want it to end, I think that for the story purposes, I think they definitely purposely left it open ended. So I am going to say I do not think that he is actually dead and in the ground. So then my next question is, do either of them know that?
Mm. Oh
I
yeah.
feel like
I guess that could be it.
Winston
Yeah.
would know.
Yes, I
And I
agree.
feel like maybe the Bowery King wouldn't. Because the last things that John says, other than Ellen, is oh, man, so emotional. He's like bleeding and he just looks at Winston and he goes, Winston,
Take me home.
you take me home? He goes, of course, Jonathan. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like I was like, oh, it was so emotional. But I don't know. I feel like he knew that even though his obligation to the table was done, you know, nobody's ever gonna stop coming for him. It's the Bruce Wayne at the end of Dark Knight Rises. Just faking his death and going to live off in anonymity in Paris. Um, but that's just my take on it. I think probably he's not actually dead, and I think probably he is in hiding somewhere with his dog, and Winston's the only one that knows about it. That
Mhm.
that's what I think is actually what happened at the end of this movie. But like we said, it is totally open for interpretation, and I am the one interpreting. TJ, like what TJ said, that's what the movie presents you is he dead. He
Mhm.
dead and buried. Like
I'm
I'm
just
just saying,
thinking
I
like
think
age and you know
a hundred
things
percent,
we've
a
heard of
hundred
the
percent.
actor director maybe just wanting kind of ended with the fourth one, but
Yeah.
the studio again wants to make money, so we'll see. I got so I just want to know like do you have a favorite fight scene or fight kind of moment? And then I guess maybe a favorite character.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say too, Michelle in the chat says I refuse to believe he's dead. Um, I think I'm in that same camp.
Mhm.
TJ might be right. We might have to wake up and face the reality one of these days. But I will say I agree with you. I think that the fight sequence, actually, you know what? I'm not going to agree with you. I love the nightclub fight sequence. I
Mhm.
think it's probably the most brutal that John is in well, it is the most brutal that John is in the entire movie. It's where he expels most of his energy. Um, I know you and I looked over at each other when I love that he had to kill Scott Atkins 3 times before he actually died.
Yeah.
But I love when the middle time that he killed him, when he just wails on him, and we basically spend a minute of real time watching a man beat another man just to death. But then obviously it wasn't enough. But just the fact that John has that brutality in him, that just in the rain, and that beautiful shot of where it starts on the back of John's head, and then it moves through the waterfall to the
Right.
front of his head. The whole time he is just wailing on him like these heavy punches, like, and also talk about great filmmaking. The opening of the movie with the punches onto the beam
Mm-hmm.
of how loud and percussive it was. You remember
Those
back to that and you
gunshots
go,
were,
I
they were
know,
going
and
off
you
in
remember
that
back to
theater.
those punches in the beginning of the movie, and you're like, that's how hard he's punching his face. Like that sets in your mind how powerful this guy's punches are. So I really like the Berlin stuff. I would say my favorite scene of the movie probably is the card game with Scott Adkins and Donnie Yen and Shamir Anderson, by the way, which I don't know if we've said his name yet, Mr. Nobody, played by Shamir Anderson, who I did not know of or anything like that before watching this movie. Obviously, I had seen him in the trailer and everything, but he was fantastic.
Hello,
but that's
all
probably
8
my
people
favorite
watching, by the
scene.
way. What did you think of John Wick? Please let us know in the
Uh,
chat.
yeah, absolutely. Have you seen John Wick 4 yet? Are you going to? Hopefully you have, because we are talking about it. But that was probably my favorite scene, was that card game. Just Scott Adkins just absolutely killing that role.
Yeah.
Like he's
The gold tooth.
like it was so like it
Oh
was
my
so
god, I
funny
gotta
and
see
just
this movie again.
see he was so funny, but he was also just so menacing. Like
Right.
when the way that he was talking, like these movies toe such a beautiful line between like humor and um uh to co-opt a Taika Waititi quote about Star Wars. The John Wick movies are serious, but they don't take themselves seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they know exactly what they are, and they know that you're coming for exactly the reason that you want, which is crazy action, great lines, great characters, everything like that. And this movie really flexed that muscle. Um, like just little things like when he's like, one of them thinks he can serve his way out,
Mm-hmm.
one thinks he can buy his way out, and one thinks he can kill his way out. Like oh, it's just so good. And then when he's screaming at him and they're running through the nightclub and he's just running for his life. That is so fun. And then obviously how he actually dies
Yeah.
with
Oof,
that fall.
jeez.
Ooh, so brutal. Like literally cracked his head, like actually cracked his skull into itself. Like, ooh. But I would say my favorite fight scene is probably the cars and the roundabout.
Yeah.
I think that's my
That
favorite
one is
fight.
really
Just
cool.
that whole thing, and I don't even I'll stop it right at the road. Like I'll say up to when he gets on the motorcycle is like just that bit of just all the cars and that guy. That's a guy who I want to look up, Mr. Mutton Chops, who apparently is a
just didn't die. Like.
yeah, apparently he's a Colombian fighter.
Oh, okay.
Which I did not know about, but I want to look up. Oh, whoops, playing the John. Whoop, playing the John. Okay, what's going on here?
Play the trailer.
There we go. I started getting the trailer. Oh, Rina Sawayama, who played
She's also
Akira.
great.
I know we talked
Yeah.
about her as well. The moment she opened her mouth, I was just like she had so much charisma and just everything. She was so great, and I am very excited to see.
Oh, I think
more
you
of
just
her.
passed him. Marco.
Oh yeah,
Zarar?
Marco
I think that's how you
Zarar.
pronounce
There
it.
you go. Yeah, he plays Chidi. He is That's a very interesting look. He plays Chidi in this movie, who is kind of Bill Skarsgård's number one kind of enforcer, basically, of the Marquis de Gramont, which is a fantastic name for a villain. But he was great, like you said, just would not die. Everything that we built up with him, he is the quintessential action henchman, because there's just all these moments you're like rooting for his death, but then you're happy every time he comes back on screen.
Mhm.
Like it's just all these different things, and then like I said too, I don't think enough can be said about Shamir Anderson as Mr. Nobody. I thought that he was really, really good. Was he kind of a more ancillary necessity in this movie? Yes. I mean,
Mhm.
I could hear that maybe he wasn't in enormously necessary to tell this story, but I still think it was very good that he was in the story, because I think that he brought a lot of presence and character and intrigue. And I saw one tweet that was just like, my favorite part about Mr. Nobody in John Wick Chapter 4 is that he's the first person in any of these movies that John Wick sees and just goes, I have no idea who you are. Like, like, you know what I mean? Everybody's
Did you
like,
did you think his name maybe was kind of a hint to like Nobody, like the movie?
I don't know.
It's same
I don't
studio.
know. I think
so,
it'd be very interesting.
right. Same people, same kind of, isn't it? Or
No, I don't. I think the other one is Universal. I think Nobody is
My
Universal.
bad. All right.
But no, but I mean, those have been, you know, rumored to. Could they cross over, stuff like that? Let's see. I don't know. But anyways, I think that he was fantastic. Like I said, I thought that he had some really brutal stuff, especially that scene with his hand. Um, that's not good. Especially that scene with his hand with Bill Skarsgård, where he's forced to make that choice of you know, you really have to kind of, you know, piss or get off the pot here. Like, you either are gonna walk away right now, disgraced, or you need to commit yourself to the table right now. But yeah, we got 7 people watching right now. Let us know, what did you think of John Wick 4? Have you even watched any of the John Wick movies? Are you going to watch the 4th one? Let us know. But yeah, I thought that he was fantastic. Gosh, what else? Like,
I got a favorite moment.
Go for it.
When I think what's the big guy's name again? Big Cyburns guy.
Cheaty.
Cheaty. When Cheaty has Mr. Nobody pinned down with a shotgun, or no, I'm sorry, John Wick does. And Cheaty's pointing the shotgun at the dog, and Miss Nobody's dog, and Miss Nobody's out for the count. And John has to make a choice. He's, you know, who's he gonna shoot, because nobody's after him, but then the dog might die. Fucking just kill, you know, doesn't kill Chi, but you know, he rescues that dog.
Throws him down his 5th flight of stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should say shoots him.
I do love that is a constant in all these movies is some sort of, obviously the first one tragic, you know, poor dog dies, but the constant, like, we're upping the dogs as well. The third one, obviously, with Halle Berry, had, like, you know, some of that dog, but she's only in it, you know, upon rewatch, she's only in it for 20 minutes. And then this movie had a lot of Mr. Nobody's dog, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, nuts. that was great that he had it trained. And the two main words that he had were nuts and kill.
Yeah.
It's like, that was so fucking funny. But also just who Mr. Nobody represents. We talked about it with Clancy Brown with the Harbinger, but like Mr. Nobody, it was also a new, not just a new character, but a new role in this universe of a tracker. Which is something we've never heard about before, which is not somebody who's out to kill you, but somebody who's out to protect you until the money raises to the point they want, and then they kill you.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's so interesting, and just that whole, again, just it's just these. We're describing it as like these novel concepts, but it's just because the writing and Stahelski's directing is just at such a level. It's just so great. What in a lesser movie would be a exposition dump scene of explaining what a tracker is done so eloquently with almost no dialogue from John and very little dialogue from Mr. Nobody, just basically giving you the basics. We see him marking off as the bounty gets higher, and then later John is just like, "Oh, you're a tracker," and then he goes, "How much? Not enough." And then he goes, you know, "We're in this now together, John." And that's it. That's the whole scene.
Yeah.
And you just imply you understand everything about what this guy's role is in this world. Is he's a tracker. He follows the scent and, you know, has his great dog and everything like that. And again, like you said, I think he is so great. Like when it comes to the end of the movie, that he basically just gets to kick back and watch the final showdown with the rest of us. But let's talk a little bit more about Donnie Yen, and then bring that into kind of the closeout with the duel, because I think that Donnie Yen, which if anything is probably the most likely thing to get its own movie, not only because it's obviously Donnie Yen, but it's the post credit scene that both of us missed the first time.
Yes. Yep.
The actual post credit tease of this movie is Akira showing up um to confront Donnie Yen for, spoiler alert, I know we've been kind of beating around the bush with this, but for the murder of her father, Koji, um, who obviously was Hiroyuki Sanada, or Hiroyuki Sanada, which I thought was an incredible scene with the two of them. Just his honor, would not let him give up the fight, and he paid the price for it and everything like that. Um, but yeah, how did you feel about Donnie Yen in this movie and kind of his introductory scene with the kind of floppy hair, which I thought was really funny that he's just like he's retired.
Mhm.
Um, and then everything with him in Osaka and taking on Koji, and then everything up to the end. How did you feel about Donnie Yen in this movie?
Yeah, I thought his character was really interesting just because he has this kind of motivation to protect his daughter, who we don't see or anything. Don't get really much background on her at all. Just
Mm-hmm.
that it seems like she's safe, but also if he doesn't follow his orders, that she could be killed. Um,
Yeah.
so that's very interesting to get his motivation to why he's doing everything, as well as he and John Wick were friends at some point. It seems like, but man, he's just Donnie Yen's so good in this movie. He's so fast with that little cane thing. I
Mm-hmm.
just the sunglasses, the whole outfit, like that. It just all works so well. Um, I just I would love to see a movie just with his character if that's possible. I mean, it made me want to check out like Ip Man. Those four movies he did. I want to see
Mm-hmm.
those now. I'm sure he's done some other martial arts movies previously that I don't know about. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was so good in this movie. One just quick question, which I maybe it's because I just didn't rewatch Chapter 2, and maybe this was introduced, or maybe it was never introduced. Uh, the bulletproof suit. So the Bowery King gives him a new one before
Mm-hmm.
I think the big kind of car fight thing.
Yeah.
When was that? Was that ever introduced before?
Yeah. It was.
Because I didn't remember
I think
it.
it was the first movie.
Oh man, I don't know if it was. Maybe it was, and I just didn't remember
I
in
mean, it
that
was
moment.
definitely in the second movie because
Okay,
what's his name?
because
Peter
that would make more sense.
Serafinowicz is like,
Yeah.
he goes to Italy and
Hmm.
he gets his armory from Peter Serafinowicz, and then he goes to that weird little, I don't know, Eastern European weird tailor that's
Yeah.
like, oh, are you having business or pleasure? And
Yeah.
he goes, tactical. And then he goes, oh, okay. Like, so that's definitely in the second one.
Yeah.
But I want to say it's also in the first one, but it might not be.
It
Um,
must be the second because
it must be the second.
when I watched the first and third, I don't think that ever came up. So I was like, how's he blocking these bullets? Because he
Yeah.
kept going he goes like this throughout the movie, like holding up
Oh
his
yeah,
suit. Yeah. I was like,
that's what everybody
I
on
was like,
TikTok is the.
yeah, I was like, when was the suit? I was like, when did the suit become bulletproof? And
Yeah.
obviously it was the second
And
one.
I
I
love,
skipped that
dude,
one.
this one, like, you just accept the fact that just everybody has them.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, actually, you know what? No, I'll be fair to the movie. Not everybody has them. John has it, and all of the Marquise men have
Mhm.
it. Like, which makes sense because obviously the Marquis is like shown as uber rich.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I think Donnie Yen was fantastic in this, but going up to the final here with the duel,
Oh yeah.
how'd you kind of feel about the whole duel thing? How'd you feel about how it was settled? And then, because
Yeah.
really, honestly, like you said, you kind of just feel like these movies are just gonna keep going and going and going because
Mhm.
it's like, well, how's he ever gonna get out? And this
Mhm.
movie's like this. He's gonna
Yeah.
put a stop to all this chaos and madness and just say, fight me 1v1, bro.
Yeah. I thought it was
And he
really
didn't do that.
interesting, that whole kind of duel thing. It's we're doing all these different mixed martial arts, and we're fighting with our fists. We got guns, we got shotguns with fire bullets, but then it all comes down to this 20 steps. I was like, I don't think I said it to you, but in my head, I was like, oh, this is just like Hamilton.
Yeah.
And I thought it took place perfectly. I think I knew he didn't. I was like, I don't think he missed because I was like, he just doesn't really miss, So I was like, he probably just didn't shoot, but it didn't occur to me that he would just be like, oh, I gotcha. And then he would just like, shoot Bill Skarsgård in the head. That didn't occur to me for some reason, which that that moment was awesome. There's just the turn to Winston. He's like, oh, you dumb son of a bitch.
You arrogant asshole.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot.
Yeah.
Like that. Just
what does
timing on
Keanu
that.
say? What's his line there?
Let me just take it from the top. He goes, I want the coup de grace. And he goes, give me the gun. And see, this is why it's so great, is because the expectations, and Chad Stahelski, he lives and breathes the action genre, so he knows your expectations.
Right.
And your expectations are, he says, I want the coup de grace, give me the gun. And he gives him the gun. And before he gives him the gun, he asks Donnie Yen for the gun. And before he does that, Donnie Yen says,
fuck you.
Am I
Oh, no,
am I
it's
good?
yeah.
Am I free? And he goes, yes, you and your daughter are free.
Yeah.
And so action movie logic would tell you, okay, Bill Skarsgård's going to turn around and then Donnie Yen's going to kill him because he said, well, you said I was free, so I'm free to move. But this movie doesn't do that. It almost pulls a switcheroo on the audience because you're so like, oh, Donnie Yen's going to kill him. And then Winston just gets this great line where Bill Skarsgård starts walking up to Keanu and he just starts laughing and he goes, oh, you arrogant asshole. And Bill Skarsgård looks at him and he goes, he didn't shoot. And then he just looks back and John Wick goes, consequences. And just absolutely blows his brains out.
God.
And I'm just like, oh my God. Like that was like the movie just crescendoed in that moment.
Yeah.
And if we're to be believed, the fact that he was literally dying, like literally bleeding out because after Donnie Yen shoots him, he's out. Like he's down. Like he only gets back up to stand up and then sit back down again. Like, and that, I guess maybe it would kill somebody because that shot was really, really low, but also, I don't know. I'm getting in the way of my own point. That duel, absolutely incredible. The fact that they wove this web so intricately and with all these spinning pieces and everything like that, but the fact that then they were able to tie it all up, not only get John a personal victory, get rid of the marquee, get Winston the hotel back, but also satisfy Donnie Yen's motivation and bring him back to the good side, get him back with his daughter and everything like that. The fact that they were basically able to do that all with one bullet just goes to show you the level that the storytelling is operating at with this movie. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. Another thing I just thought about, if he is truly dead, I feel like it's narratively kind of weird if he actually is dead and it's just like Donnie Yen's character is the one that killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would just feel like a really weird, like I didn't even really think about that. Like wouldn't that just feel off? It's like, well, how did John Wick end up dying? Oh, his friend that he hatched a plan with killed him.
Yeah.
like John got his friend, his daughter and his freedom, and then his friend killed him because of it. Like that just feels weird. So to me, it just feels like you can't leave it like that. But I mean, like I said, I think it's probably better if you do, but I would love to see a fifth one. But is there anything else that we didn't really touch on? I mean, there's so much to talk about.
There's so much,
we talk about all of it, but
yeah.
Lawrence of Arabia reference.
Lawrence, yep.
Blowing out the match and then right to the sunset. Beautiful. So good. Yeah.
I can't wait to get this. I can't wait to get this movie on 4K. I just need to see it. I need to see it again. Like I
know.
Ugh. What a fantastic movie.
If I can say something.
This movie should single-handedly make the Oscars do a stunt category, or any of these.
It really
movies.
should.
like this movie definitely deserves that type of Oscar, I think.
Do you think right now, oh, there you go. Do you think right now that this is the Top Gun Maverick of this year? I know it's hard because Mission is coming right around the corner.
Right.
But
as in like what sense? Like
just the I just feel like this movie is just going to grab people and clearly has.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that this movie is going to make $1 billion. Like,
no, yeah.
Maverick made 1.5 billion, but like, I think this movie is going to do really, really well. I mean, there is a lot of movies coming up. We got Dungeons next week, Mario right after that. Then there's a couple of weeks off in April, and then Guardians. I think this movie is going to stay in the top 5 until Guardians comes out. Yeah, I don't see this movie leaving the top 5 for quite a long time.
Yeah, I think that's a fair prediction. Like, do I think it'll be, do I think it'll be in the conversation for, I don't think, obviously Top Gun didn't win Best Picture, but do I think it maybe be nominated? No, I don't think so. But I definitely think it will be when people list out their favorite movies of the year. I think it'll be high on those lists, I'd have to imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, guys, that will do it for our John Wick Chapter 4 review here. We got a little spoiler-free for you up top, a little spoiler at the end. But there's so much to unpack. I'm sure we're going to be talking on and off, just offhand about this movie for months, years to come. We'll keep our ear to the ground on whatever the news is with the 5th one, when the Ballerina trailer comes out, when the Continental trailer comes out. Maybe we're going to get a Donnie Yen spinoff, or maybe an Akira spinoff. If you want to see that spinoff, that kind of Akira versus Kane redemption arc of her seeking redemption for her father, that kind of thing, would you want that movie? Actually, I'll ask you this as well, TJ. Would you want that movie to be from Akira's perspective or from Kane's perspective? Because as an audience member, I feel like I could enjoy a movie from either of their perspectives because they were such good characters. What would you want to see?
I'd agree with that. Maybe you could somehow do it like you could split it
just both
in one movie. Somehow.
You could do that. Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
Hobbs and Shaw.
And you definitely have the actors to do it. And I think it'd be awesome. You just keep building. As long as somebody that was involved with these movies is involved with those, I think we're safe.
Yes. I agree 100%. I think what the heck? Sorry. I saw something about House of the Dragon, but it wasn't real. I agree 100%. I think I'd be fine with either one of them, but what the heck? There we go. I don't know why it just messed up our Discord for a second. I think that either one of them would be really, really great to do a movie focused on, but I really definitely want to see that story. I'd rather see that. I'd be happy to see that story be the next thing that we explore going forward in this universe than, John, reaching his hand out of the grave, Superman style. Although that being said, sign me up for a movie where this League of Assassins has to use a mother box to reactivate John Wick's corpse. I think that would be really, really great. And then you could just have Aquaman there going, I don't know about this. But that's our talk for John Wick Chapter 4, down and out of the way. But guys, let us know, what did you think of it? Everything like that down below. And while you're down there, make sure you go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video with a John Wick fan or an action fan or anybody that that might like one of these movies or like any of these movies. But that will do it for our John Wick talk.